Welcome back to Terminology Tuesday. This Friday, January 17th, is Florida Arbor Day, which is different than National Arbor Day, which is in April. Florida's Arbor Day is in January because that's the best time for Floridians to plant trees and shrubs, and Arbor Day is celebrating trees, and traditionally you plant a tree on Arbor Day. In Florida, trees planted in January, in the dormant season, when they're not actively growing, have the best survival rate, because they have the opportunity to develop a root system before they have to support all of that active growth and before the heat of summer stresses them. Our native pine species are keystone species in a variety of our diverse Florida habitats. And most importantly, they are the keystone species, the foundation of one of the most biodiverse habitats in North America, the Longleaf Pine ecosystem. Unfortunately, we are losing our pines at a rapid rate to development, to more and more intense storms, and to people who are just afraid of pines falling, and so they preemptively take them down. And that is a real problem for our wildlife and our ecosystems, because Florida needs its pines. And so planting pine trees is critically important. And unfortunately, when we think about planting trees, typically, we don't think about planting pines. We usually choose hardwoods over pines, and we've got to start planting pines. In Leon County here, over 170 species of moths and butterflies use pine trees as their host plants. And that's a critical part of our food web. Pine trees are supporting thousands and millions of caterpillars. And those caterpillars, not only do they become beautiful moths and butterflies, but they are critical wildlife food. Large mammals like foxes and bears eat caterpillars, and they're also the most important food source for our songbirds. Over 95% of our songbird species feed their babies exclusively insects and mostly caterpillars. They can't eat seeds or berries. So we have to support lots of caterpillars in our yards, and pines help us do that. I planted this Pinus plustris longleaf pine in April of 2023, when it was just a couple feet tall and it had just begun to exit its grass stage, and look at how much it has grown in that short period of time. Both longleaf pine and South Florida slash pine, Pinus densa, are actually very resistant to high winds, even hurricane strength winds, when they're planted in full sun like this one. They rarely lose their limbs, and they don't just topple over. They're also very adaptable to a variety of habitats. And we have 8 pine species in Florida, one for any habitat that your yard might be a part of. So I highly recommend planting a pine for Arbor Day this year, because we desperately need more pines to replace all the pines that we're using, because they are critical members of our ecosystems. So next week, I will be going over proper planting techniques so you can ensure that your planted pine will do well and thrive.